12th month. It is the year 1994. Looking back down through the past, through a lot of years, there was once this man who lived in the Bassendean, Eden Hill, Lockridge area. Since been born through his mother, who's dead now. He moved around from camp to camp in the metropolitan area. On the reserves of South Guildford before it became a national airport, to the Widgie Road camps, the Eden Hill camps, the Saunders Street camps.
It was the early hours of Sunday morning. As I sat in my room in Liverpool, watching the TV, the Princess of Wales dying was in an accident. I thought then that would jeopardise the handing over on that day, Sunday, wouldn't take place. But that wasn't the case. The handing over of the head by the Liverpool Council people did take place. As it got later on in the morning, getting close to breakfast time, I started to get anxious again. And then we all went down and had breakfast, packed our bags and paid our bills, because this was the day of getting the head of our warrior Yagan into our position and starting our journey home. It was exciting. It was cold. All our bags were packed in 2 motors, one a taxi and one a private car. Paid our bills. There was anxiousness as we waited. Richie Wilkes was the last to complete all his bringing of his bags down. Then the short journey down through the Liverpool English streets to where the handing over of the head would take place. It was cold. We passed along the streets. Same as usual, I'm scanning the building tops for the oldness of the buildings, and yes, there was a few. There was a few. Before I continue on with that, there's a section that I left out and I must tell you about it. I think it was on Saturday night early, before the Sunday that would follow, that we walked down the streets. just for the sake of walking and having a look at some of the Liverpool streets. I walked along the streets with Mingley. There was these Liverpool people standing outside the pubs. I thought, this is strange. We don't see it back home. In their groups, men and women, with their huge glasses or jugs, whatever you like to call them, in their hands, all drinking them outside these little pubs. And the noise inside was loud, laughing. And I looked across the road as I was walking along, and then we had that scenery behind us, and then we came to this sort of a offshoot street. It was shops. Then I could hear this voice singing. It was a young Liverpool man, I'd say in his mid-20s. He had the guitar and he was singing a song, My Brown-Eyed Girl, or Brown-Eyed Baby. He had his guitar case down at his feet, and I looked down as I walked past and there was nothing in it. I walked a little way and the song started to float from where he was singing down the streets, and I was caught in the passageway of that tune. And I turned and walked back. And as I got closer, he started to sing louder and louder. And I stood right before him, and boy, did he really melt into his tunes. And the sound of that tune automatically switched my memories back down over the seas and crossed through into the Swan Valley and back home. And the visions of Yagan and his people were there before me. And then I was back in front of this man in my mind, and he sang and he sang. I reached down into my pockets and my hand clasped upon a £20 note, and I bought it out with some English silver, and I bent down steady and opened my hand and let the £20 and the silver fall down into the guitar case box. And as I straightened up, the voice got louder and the tunes he sang from the bottom of his heart to a black man putting money down in his case. I shall never, ever forget that man's face. My back turned and I walked away. And Mingley and I continued walking down the streets, and as we went, the tune and the voice of this man followed us down the street, floating down the hill. We went so far down, looking at the buildings and shops, and then we turned and came back, walking up the same street. The song and the sound of the guitar, and the man was gone. To where, I don't know. To where, I don't know. Back to the entering on the Sunday morning to pick up the head. We all went into the building. The box was brought down. put on the table. We asked the white people to please leave the room and shut the door. We opened up the box, and there was the head of our warrior, Yagan, the skull. I automatically reached down to my pocket and brought out some of the dust of the ancient sacred site. So close to where his headless body lays up at Upper Swan. And I put some dust over his skull. And for the first time, us four touched this man on the head, on the skull. Our hands met. There was sadness, there was happiness, there was thoughts of there and now, back down the past. There was visions of seeing this man standing tall, speaking in his own way, laughing before he was killed. The white people came back into the room and they had to move from there to the first floor to the ceremony where it would take place and handing over. I informed Richard Wilkes, Ken Colbung and Mingley to take the head up with them, that I was not going to be part of the ceremony. Reasons are my own spiritual way not to be up there. As they left the room, I walked outside and around the building. I was drawn right around to where the huge statue stood. It was statues of a man heavily armed, and all around at his feet were the statues of these men with chains around their necks and around their ankles. I stood in silence and studied these statues. As I walked further away from it, I looked back on top of the building where the head was to be handed over. I seen the statues of these people on the building standing, all sad and looking with a distant look on their faces, looking at what I don't know. But I thought then, at the soles of their feet, underneath on that first story, was the handing over of Yagan, our warrior skull, to the three people, Aboriginal people. When all that was completed, there was a wild, mad rush from there to the airport, with a 45 minutes flight from there, Liverpool to the London airport. There was a wait over there. And then onto the plane, back to Hong Kong. There was so many hours wait, and then our flight from there back home to the Swan Coastal Plains, the Swan Valley. As we left Changi Airport, Hong Kong Airport, the plane was in full flight. I was dozing off, and then I woke up again, and then the air hostess came to me and said, "The captain would like to know if you, Mr. Bropho, would like to come and sit up in the cockpit of the jet. So I took up the offer and I walked with the air hostess right along up to where the cockpit was. On my left-hand side, it was the captain. On the right-hand side was his co-pilot, and in the centre there was a seat, and I was to sit there. And I talked with both the captain and the co-pilot. I was amazed to see them sitting there with no handle driving the aeroplane, just looking at computers with little square lights. And I said to the captain, "Do you mean to tell me that you sit here and there's no handle?" And he said, "Yes." He laughed a bit. It's white man and his technology, white man and his aeroplanes. He said, "All we got to do is press buttons." And then he said to me quickly, "Can you stand up and come over here?" And when I did, he said, "Look down there." He said, "We're passing over Bali." The lights were small, a long, long way down. When we touched down at Perth Airport, the blackfellas, brothers and sisters were waiting, children, 11 o'clock or so at night. It was amazing to see so many people standing there at that late hour of the night. There were camera flashes and there was shaking hands and there was hugging. Our warrior Yagan came home, was brought home. My duties as Robert Bropho, being in this deputation, ended there and then. I fulfilled my commitments that I agreed to undertake and go with Richard Wilkes, Ken Colbung and Mingley to assist in bringing Yagan's head home. If people should wish to or want to congratulate me or criticise me, I accept it. I'm a roots man and I'll never change. Me and my community are saviours and savers of sacred sites, and we cannot change. We will always be there to try and save our religion and culture. And Yagan, our warrior, was part of that. In his day and age and time, when he moved to and from, in and along the Swan River and the Swan Valley, before the coming of the white man. My name is Robert Bropho. I'm the spokesperson for my Aboriginal community that lives in the Swan Valley. We are the last of the river people. I'm one of the many sons that was born through my mother, Isabel Bropho, whose married name is to my father, Tommy Nyinda Bropho. We are the last of the river people, and we will go down fighting, trying to save and preserve the religion and the culture, because we respect the dreaming, and we still continue on loving the old people of the past, and the old people of the here and now, and the few old people of tomorrow. I won't say the future, until we all die out and there will be no more. I'm looked on as a shit stirrer, a troublemaker. Politicians don't like me. Priests don't like me to some extent. Police don't like me. But then again, I am who I am, and I'll continue on being just me, who I was born to be through my mother. I'm a professor within my own rights. I've taught myself to read. I can't write, but I love my mother, for she is the person that gave me life through my first mother, and my mother thereafter, and after, and after. I shall never change, and I won't go away. I'll be there to speak for the old people. I will see you at the crossroads. I'll be on the left-hand side, sitting under the tree if you come my way. I respect and love